One MLA takes the cruise port question to his constituents, conducting his own unscientific poll to determine the will of the Georgetown Central voters on this divisive issue.
KMAN 27's Joe Avery is here to explain. Joe?
Thanks, guys. Georgetown Central MLA Kenneth Bryan's poll asks voters if they are for the port plan, against the port plan, or simply undecided. Mr. Bryan says he's received close to 400 responses to his ad hoc poll, about 30% of his constituency. He says he plans to use the responses to inform his position on the project.
392 have responded, and I think that's a pretty large amount.
MLA Kenneth Bryan is taking a data-driven approach to representing his constituency.
Good morning. I'm calling from Kenneth Bryan's constituency office.
By phone and by text, Mr. Bryan and his staffers are polling Georgetown voters to determine their level of support for the cruise and cargo port project.
Mr. Bryan would just like to know your position.
My job is not only about my views, but my people that I represent's views. So this will give me a guidance as to what stance to take.
He says of his poll's 392 respondents, roughly 20% are for the project, while roughly 40% are against the project. The remaining 40% are undecided. Mr. Bryan says he'd like to see responses from about half his constituents before taking a position.
This is one of those that I believe the public really wants to have a say in, hence the reason my approach here. But I wouldn't do this for every issue, but this port project definitely hits the threshold as to take this type of approach, and that's why I've done it.
But how much does sample size matter in polling? KMAN 27 put that question to U.S.-based polling analyst Jim Williams.
We normally like to see around 500 people in a sample. In a typical poll that would be done in a lot of political polls in America. Sometimes there are circumstances where you're polling in a smaller geographic area. You might get something like 400 completes, and that's okay too,
I can't see no other way to deal with this.
On this issue, which Mr. Bryan says directly impacts his constituency more than any other, he says the polling approach works for him.
Because I would hate to take the position that different from what the majority of my people want.
Now, today, I conducted an unscientific poll of my own to determine if KMAN's 18 other elected members use polling, and if so, to what extent. And I heard back from 12, good for a 66% response rate. Of these respondents, 10 said they have dabbled, actually 11, we're going to upgrade that, had dabbled in various degrees of polling, mostly during election time. Now, opposition Ezard Miller says he's never done any polling and relies instead on his individual contacts with constituents. House Speaker Makiva Bush says, quote, I always listen to the issue and then lead on what I feel is the best result for the vast majority. And finally, Bodentown West MLA Chris Saunders says, quote, absolutely, how do you think I got elected? Now, we'll have excerpts from all 12 of these MLA responses on our website. That's kman27.ky. Thank you.